Good afternoon, Vista corporate finance students. This is Dr. Richard McElroy. I'll be your professor for this course. I wanted to take a couple of minutes and just a couple of minutes to briefly introduce myself and welcome you to the course and give you some orientation to what we'll do and what the expectations are. So let's go ahead. We'll get started. Basically, I want to go over these four things, if you will. Something about me. I thought you'd like to know something about the professor that's leading the course. As 400 level students, I know you've already become familiar with the shell, but I'd like to show you a couple of things in the course shell. Then, of course, let's take a look at the content and the expectations for the course. Basically, something about me. I've told 1,000 students this. I started where all great business professors start. U.S. Navy, submarine service, North Atlantic. I patrolled the North Atlantic. I was in the Navy for 6 years, patrolled out of Scotland, went between Scotland and Ireland into the North Atlantic, patrolled north of Iceland. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I have a family, one daughter. Have, as you'll see in the picture up in the upper right-hand corner, I have a lap dog. If you have a really big lap, he's a 90-pound Labrador. And my daughter and I are scuba divers. If you're interested, I've got a couple of books out there. They're on Amazon. If you take a look at that little picture that has the degrees, I wanted to tell you something that I think is particularly pertinent to your journey. I have 6 degrees. What's pertinent to you, I suggest, is I got all my degrees as a working adult. So I know what it's like to get up, go to work all day, come home, have dinner, wash dishes, feed the dog, mow the grass, pay the bills, and then have to go study. So I've been much where you are now. So I sympathize, I empathize, and I understand. All right, let's take a quick look at the course shell. Basically, two things I wanted to point out in your course shell, and I know, again, as 400 level students, you're already familiar with the shell, but if you take a look on the left-hand side, all the tabs that take you to different areas within your shell, the announcements. My routine is to provide announcements through the week, through the whole course, to help you navigate through the course. So be sure to check regularly. I would highly recommend at least 3 or 4 times a week. Check those announcements. See if there are any new announcements in there. Another quick one for you is the syllabus, and I know again that you're all familiar with the syllabus. But if I were you, a recommendation, I would go ahead, print it off, keep it close with me as I study. All right. The next one, what a lot of students are interested in is the discussion, how I'll grade or assess your participation in the discussion. So I wanted to briefly go over that in this introduction. Basically, you get so many points for your discussion. I essentially break those in half. You're going to get about half your points for your answer. Everyone has to answer the question every week. And then you'll get about half the points for your participation, your replies, your posts to other classmates and colleagues. What I'm looking for in any discussion is course material. It's a knowledge of what we're studying. You need to show in all your posts, your answer and your discussion post, that it's not purely, let's say, conversational. It's not based purely on opinion. Make sure your post clearly demonstrates your grasp of the topic, your grasp of the subject matter. So show what you know, show your knowledge. The other one is critical thinking. I'll look for this in both your answer and your discussion post. Critical thinking is thinking about your thinking, your thought, your knowledge, your opinions, your ideas about the topic. It's how you develop around your former belief system around the knowledge, and then particularly on a very practical note, how you would use it, how you would apply that knowledge in the workplace. All right, and then of course I give some points to writing. Of course, this is academia, but more importantly, the whole course is set up to help you in the workplace. writing professionally is absolutely critical for promotion in the workplace. So I'll stress writing. So whether your answer or your discussion post or your weekly paper, you'll want to make sure you have a professional document. That's what would be expected in the workplace. If you, as an example, wrote a report for your department head or the division vice president or the VP of operations, they would look for a very sound, well thought out, well reasoned, well written document. So, and I do too. And of course, there are some points set aside for participation on time, timeliness, answers by Wednesday, finish up, have at least two posts to colleagues or to me by Sunday. All right, let's take a quick look at the content. You know, we have a fairly lean course in that you only have a discussion and one assignment every week. So be sure to take a look at in the module view every week what you have outstanding. Make sure you read, study, if you will, the material that you have to read in the textbook. Engage early in the discussion, a robust post, and then of course get your assignments in on time. Now, a quick one I wanted to point out for you, it's a great aid for you, is this list of learning objectives every week. Basically, learning objectives are actions that you should be able to accomplish at the end of your study. Every learning objective starts with an action verb. Describe, explain, review, analyze. You have to do something. By the way, the learning objectives are used by the instructional designer to develop all of the reading, the assignments, everything that you'll do in the course to ensure that you can meet those objectives. So what does this mean to you? If I were you, I would print off every week your learning objectives. Those learning objectives should guide you through your reading, your study. You're looking for material, ideas, notions, theories that would help you execute those objectives. Now, second, at the end of the week, if I were you, your learning objectives are a great self-test. If, as an example, at the end of the week, you look at your learning objectives and one of them is not quite clear, you have some questions, you'll want to go back into the textbook, take a strong look at the pertinent material for that objective. All right? Another one is the college paper. In this course, you're going to write a paper. In almost every college course, you're going to write papers. Let me separate, if you will, academia from the real world. We stress in academia writing, and I think sometimes students have kind of a notion that, well, academic writing is so different than professional writing. Well, basically, it's not. If you take a look at the URL address, that will lead you to an a site, an internet site, that will help you structure your college paper. Basically, what would we look for? Every paper, academia, or the professional work environment, has a cover page, your name, what it is, the date. Every paper has page numbers. Every paper, whether in academia, your college paper, or a professional paper, will have an introduction. Be sure to look up, how do you introduce your essay or your professional report that you write at work? What is an introduction? And then look at the basic guidelines on how would you structure a powerful paragraph. Look specifically for the introduction to a paragraph, thesis statement, how you develop a logic argument, how you use evidence. That's what your VP of operations will look for in a professional paper you write at work, and will help you through the college course and your writing development. So basically, guys, that's it. That's the introduction. That's me, the content, and some orientation into the course. Key notes here as we leave. Take a look at those learning objectives. Be sure that every week you can execute the action verb in those learning objectives. Be sure every week to take a look at and review, read the lecture material. Key here on the next one, weekly reading. I learned this years ago. If you read your textbook, read the material, like you have to teach it the next day. You actually read it in more depth, study it. You retain the knowledge better than if it's a kind of a cursory reading, if you will. So read and study the textbook as if you had to turn around and teach it. You'll see weekly discussions. Remember, every course you're going to post a minimum 3 times, at least by Wednesday. At least 2 responsive posts by the end of the week. What have I found my strong, very successful students do in the past? They're in early and they post more than 3 times because it's a scholarly examination of the topic. So 3 times is minimum. All right. Complete your assignments on time. That's Basic College 101. Well, that's it, everybody. I'm proud and I'm excited to be your professor for the course, and I'll see you online.